Hi,
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm just gonna wipe this down really fast before I sit down. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Is everything okay?
Yeah. I like things to be clean.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Before we get started, can I just have you please verify your name and date of birth for me?
My name is Lacey Still, 1216XX.
Alrighty. And then I do want to let you know that we are everything that is said here is confidential and completely private unless we're not being recorded. There is nothing in this room that's going to leave this room, and everything will be taken care of privately for you, okay?
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Alright. So why don't you tell me what brings you in today?
I've been struggling recently. I'm in school, but I just got new roommates, and it's a struggle living with them because they do things differently than I do. It's not like living at home, and so I just feel like I'm having a hard time coping and adjusting with that. I'm late to school a lot, and people make fun of me for it, but I like things being clean and no charms, and everything's supposed to have a certain way, and my roommates just don't follow that, so then I get overwhelmed and have to do all these things before I can leave, and yeah.
That sounds like it could be really difficult and challenging to do the things that you need to. I'm sorry to hear that. Can you tell me more about what your roommates do differently from you?
Well, they leave dirty dishes in the sinks, and that makes for a lot of germs to be able to go around the house, and they don't clean the bathroom, and we all share a bathroom, and they move the toothpaste and they don't use it a certain way, so then I have to fix it before I can use it. Then I have to wash my hands because of the germs, and then it's just a lot.
Yeah, that sounds like that's a lot to cope with, a lot to deal with. I'm sorry you're having a hard time with that. Let's see if we can explore a little bit more about why these things kind of are happening. So, can you elaborate a little bit on what triggers you to, like what things needing to be like in a certain order? Explain a little bit more on that for me.
So like our coat closet, there's like a specific order that I put all of our coats in. It goes their coats, her coats, my coats, and then it goes from colors. And I've talked with them about this when we first moved in, and putting them back in a specific order and hanging them in the same direction, and they don't follow it, or certain ways that things are supposed to be on the fridge where each person has a shelf and they keep putting their stuff on my shelf, so then I have to take everything out and clean my shelf and throw things away and then get new things because their stuff was with my stuff and I don't know what they have on their stuff. Those are some of the examples that I feel like have been frustrating me the most lately.
Okay. I can see those, if you've had a set routine beforehand and now that routine is being disturbed, I can see that being kind of troublesome. So let's see if we can figure out a way to maybe develop a better routine that we can maybe use for both you and your roommates. First off, we'll just start with what works to help kind of relieve these symptoms for you, the like frustration and the anxiety parts.
Well, usually I notice the things when I'm like getting ready to leave for the day to go to class or something, and if I notice that something's off or something of theirs is on my shelf, I have to take everything out of the fridge and clean it, and sometimes it makes me late or I miss class because of it, and so I think my grades are starting to show impact from not attending classes, so I think being able to figure out a goal to where I can still have time management to make it to class is important.
Okay, let's evaluate some of that. You said some of the barriers to being able to meet a goal of getting to school on time are not like noticing these things like early in the day or in the morning before you leave to go to school, right? How would you feel about talking with your roommates to set up a chores list to be done at night, so that way in the morning there's not problems that become distracted.
Possibly. How do I know that they're gonna do it right though?
Well, what do you mean by that? Do it right.
Like, how do I know that they're gonna clean things or put them back specifically the same way that I need them to be?
Well, that's a tricky one because, you know, some other people, like, are not as partial about their own items and their own things. And I know that it being a shared space is kind of difficult to manage some emotions and the behaviors that arise from the constant thinking of, is this in the right spot? Am I clean? Is everything around me clean? So maybe what I could recommend is to kind of help a little bit with your items being disturbed is, what if you designated a corner of the living room or kitchen or whatever for your own items compared to their items. That way you feel like your stuff is safe and they can do what they want with their things.
Okay.
Do you
I
think
could see that working.
Do you think that could be doable?
Yeah. I could discuss with my roommates and make one cupboard all my cupboard instead of just a certain shelf, and do the same thing for them as well.
Okay. And then, because it's in a cupboard, it would be good because then you won't be seeing all of their things all the time, and you can have your shelf organized or cupboard organized the way you'd like to. I think that sounds like a really great alternative to touching their own things and trying to clean up after them. What else bothers you about their cleaning habits?
They're leaving dirty dishes in the sink at night, and I can't focus or go to bed when I can hear them. If I'm in bed already and I can hear them making food or things, then I know that they aren't washing their dishes at night. So then I have to get up out of bed, or I wake up and I have to do them before I can start my day or before I can leave for school. And sometimes it makes me late.
Okay, I can see that being a real problem. A struggle to maintain your relationships and your tasks and academics. Have you talked to them about how it makes you feel? Do you feel comfortable talking to them?
It's only been like the bottom 6 weeks or so that we've been living together, so we're not really that comfortable with each other, but it's possible that it could be something that I could discuss with them.
If you were feeling comfortable with it, we could have a sit down, plan like maybe a 5 to 10 minute little sit down with you and your roommates to discuss the things that bother you, and then allow them to open up and discuss the things that bother them, so everybody can work together to make changes for a cohesive environment. Another thing we could do is we could try to have a group discussion about it, if they would feel comfortable coming in and talking about it, and try to see if we can figure out some alternatives to their actions compared to yours. Maybe another good idea could be to, if you're comfortable with it, work with them whenever meals are made, or whenever meals are being prepped and things like that. So that way one person does the cooking, one person's putting the food away, one person's doing the cleaning. The next person who did the cooking can put the food away at the end of the night. The person who put the food away during the cooking can do the dishes at the end of the night, and then you guys could rotate around. That way everybody has to cook, everybody has to clean, everybody has to put things away. And maybe if you have your discussion with them, that's something you could consider and bring up as like a recommendation to kind of help keep your space cohesive with each other. Does that sound like something that would be doable?
Yeah.
And we could create a calendar, like a schedule to use different colors and things like that. For this person has what they're doing for that day, what you're doing for that day, and what your other roommate's doing. You have 3 separate calendars, so you know when people are home, when they're not, when it's your space and your time. Does that sound like something you guys would be able to work on together?
Yeah, I think I could talk with my roommates about it.
Okay. And if they're not receptive about it, it might be beneficial to give them some time to think about it, because sometimes when things are kind of sprung up on somebody, like you say, hey, I need you to change your ways, it can be overwhelming for them as well. And so we just have to kind of keep in mind the fact that like you're feeling overwhelmed because of these problems, but asking somebody to uproot their lifestyle or their habits is kind of hard as well. So it's a learning curve. You guys would have to learn together. As far as getting to school on time, when do you usually leave compared to when you get up in the morning?
Well, I start my mornings around 6:30. I get up and I wash my coffee cup, and then I make myself a cup of coffee, and then I take a shower, and then I straighten the bathroom, and then I brush my teeth, and then I pick out what clothes I'm going to wear for the day and make sure that there's no wrinkles, and then I look at my schedule of the things that I need to do for the day, and then usually I'll make myself breakfast, and then when my alarm clock goes off to get ready to leave, I make sure that I have everything for my class ready in my backpack, and then I'll go into the kitchen and get my lunch and my stuff to take to school with me, and then usually that's when I'll get distracted if I get distracted from those things, and then generally I leave about 10 minutes after that. But then sometimes if there's the dirty dishes in the sink or something's out of place in the kitchen, that's when I have to fix it before I can leave, and it generally makes me late.
Okay. I can see how that could cause some difficulties in trying to manage your time. What if we were to come up with a goal of setting a list, like a checklist of the things you need to get done in the morning? The important things that you need to do before you can leave. So if that's shower, if that's eating, meal prepping, if that's I need to make sure these things are clean before I leave, then we can set up time blocks for that and set up like, okay, from 6 o'clock to 6:10, I'm going to pick out my clothes and put them on my bed. And then from 6:10 to 6:30, I'm gonna take a shower and brush my teeth. And I'm done with that. From 6:30 to 6:40, you can do what you need to straighten up the bathroom. And then from, let's say, 6:40 to 7 o'clock is when you eat your breakfast and do your meal prep. And then from 7 o'clock to like 7:15, you can clean up what you've made a mess about. Because in talking with your roommates about and making a schedule with them of who's going to clean, who's going to do this, who's going to do that, you can come up with a plan of these are going to be done at this time, which can maybe help with some of that anxiety. Does that seem like something you would be willing to try?
Yeah, I think it could be beneficial trying something like that.
I know that struggle and routine is often sometimes a like scheduling and routines and stuff are kind of a struggle with having, racing thoughts and thoughts that won't stop, and so you feel like you have to act on them. Whenever that happens, you could write down also what the behavior is or what the problem is that's causing that, so that way you can recognize it for the next time. To be able to kind of manage it a little bit more and see if you can make it go a little bit farther, kind of desensitize to it a little bit, if that makes sense. So a good example would be like when you talk to your roommates and you set up a routine and a schedule for like who's going to cook, clean, whatever. You could set specific time frames up for the morning as well, or during lunch and that in the evening of I want like when you want these things to be done by. So maybe if you finish your school by, let's say 11:30 and you get home by 12 o'clock, you can know when you leave in the morning, okay, at 12 o'clock, I'm going to come home and I'm going to do this at this time. Or at 9 o'clock, my roommate is coming home from work and she's going to do this at this time. Would that be something that would be helpful for you, or do you feel like that would be hard to let your mind let it go that it's going to be done at some point?
It might be hard for me to get my mind off of it going throughout the day knowing that those things aren't done, but it's something that I could try to implement into my life. Are we almost done? My alarm's going off for me to go and wash my hands again.
Yes, we are just about finished. I just want to reiterate everything that we've talked about today. So we're going to make a plan to talk with your roommates about discussing your feelings and theirs, about discussing times and routines for the chores that need to be done around the apartment, and then we're going to make a checklist with set specific times of when things need to be done to help keep you on track throughout the morning. Does that sound doable? Do you think you could keep up with those goals, and we can touch base again in about 2 weeks about it?
Yeah, they might be difficult to start implementing and to have those hard conversations, but I think that it's something that once I start, I could probably manage.
Okay, and if you're having problems, or if you're feeling like you're having a hard time confronting them, you can always give me a call here at the office, and we can discuss some ways to bring it up or ways to handle the responses that they may give you. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in and seeing me today. I really appreciate you coming in and working with me. I hope to hear from you again in 2 weeks. Okay.
Yep. I will see you in 2 weeks. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.